So just a couple of things to say. Firstly, we're intending on recording this this meeting over the next hour. We want to put this out through our media, through our website, for people maybe to listen to that haven't been able to dial into this. So firstly, we're intending to record. If you don't want your faces shown on the recording, then please do turn off your cameras. It's up to you whether you want to be on that recording or not. The second thing I just want to say, just in terms of those perhaps not familiar with Teams, with Microsoft Teams, which we're obviously using this evening, we just to let you know, on the top right hand corner of your screen is a camera and a microphone button. So if you want to come on and off camera, use that microphone. Use that camera button. And if you absolutely the successes of the UK. So apologies, there's just a little bit of background noise there. So please use the camera and the microphone buttons in the top right corner of your screen if you want to come on and off camera, and if you want to come on and off microphone. Please do remain on mute if you could, if you're not speaking, just because sometimes there is a bit of feedback coming through, or a bit of background noise. So that tends to work best. In terms of the format for today, we will have a brief introduction from our new cabinet, and I will hand over to them in a minute. And after that, we will have a question and answer session, a Q&A session for the remainder of the hour. If you would like to come in and ask a question, please raise your hand. Again, for those of you not familiar with Teams, at the top bar of your screen, you will see a hand, and underneath it says raise. So raise your hand if you want to come in and ask a question. Once you've asked your question, press that button again, and the hand will come back down. If you don't want to come in and speak, but you want to ask a question, you can also use the chat function. Again, the chat button is on the top bar. So if you click on chat, you have an ability to type a message into the chat. So please do that as well. We have also a number of questions that have been pre-submitted, and depending on how many questions we have in the meeting here, we may also go to some of those pre-submitted questions, and I will ask the relevant cabinet members to come in and answer those questions. Just in terms of format, I will go to people that have raised their hands first and try and answer questions in the chat. And we will then also, as I say, come to some of those pre-submitted questions if necessary. We may not get through all of the questions, certainly won't get through, I don't think, all of the questions submitted before the meeting, and if we don't get to all of the questions throughout this meeting, we will answer all of those separately, and we'll post those responses on our website. The final thing I think just to say is, in terms of questions that you may ask, please feel free to ask on any topic you would like, in terms of the remit of the council and things that are relevant to what's happening in Barnet across the borough. Please, if you could, do refrain from asking personal questions that might be about kind of a particularly personal nature, or personal information which we wouldn't want necessarily to share in a wider group. So it might be something very, very specific to you, or a neighbour, or your family, or your friends. We will post in the chat. I actually think it's just been posted in the chat. There is an email, leaderqa@barnet.gov.uk, and so if you have specific questions that may be of a particular individual or personal nature, as I say, maybe don't share that in this particular group, but please do email that particular mailbox. So that's all I wanted to say from my perspective. Again, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. I am going to go on to mute now for a bit, and I'm going to hand over to Barry Rawlings, the leader of the council, and Barry and the cabinet will introduce themselves. Over to you, Barry.
Thank you, John, and I will repeat what John said, which is thanking all the people here who've given their time up to come and talk to us. All the questions will get an answer, but I do want to remind people it is being recorded, so using individual names talking just shouldn't happen. So just think about that. what we'll do is we'll introduce the cabinet members, starting off with myself, and what areas we cover, so you realise why particular people are answering the question. And say, I'm the leader of the council. My remit will be for resources, for, if you like, the internal council, being an effective council, and there's a list of things like community assets, emergency planning, that cover the whole council, but don't come under anybody else. But if we start here from people in the room, we start on the left with Sarah Conway. Yep.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Councillor Sarah Conway, and I cover, I think you're about to come down this way in a minute. I cover community safety and participation.
Hi, I'm Councillor Alan Schneiderman, so I cover stuff to do with a cleaner and greener Barnet, about trying to become one of London's most sustainable boroughs, and also overseeing sort of roads, pavements, green spaces, and making sure we try and get a cleaner Barnet.
I'm Anne Clark, and I'm the portfolio holder for community wealth building, which is to do with Barnet's economy and ensuring we include as many people as possible in our local economy.
Good evening, my name's Kat Alison Moore. I'm the Cabinet Member for Health and Wellbeing. That covers public health within the borough and the relationship with the wider health economy, and I chair the Health and Wellbeing Board.
I'm Councillor Ross Houston. I'm Deputy Leader, but my Cabinet brief is housing and regeneration.
Right. There are others who aren't on this call. Well, they are on the call, but not in this room. So if we go to looking at it, Pauline first.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Councillor Pauline Coakley-Webb, and I'm the Cabinet Member for Family Friendly Barnet, which covers children, education, safeguarding, and everything to do with looked after children.
And Zara?
Everyone, I am the Cabinet Member. I'm Zara Bear, Cabinet Member for Equality, Diversity, Inclusion, the Community Sector and the Voluntary Sector.
And Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul Edwards. I'm the Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care. That's all those people between the ages of 18 and whatever who require adult social care support to remain in their own homes, specifically in the community. Welcome, everybody.
Then there is another member of the Cabinet who was actually flying back to come to this meeting, and his aeroplane's been delayed, Councillor Amar Nabki. So if there's any questions that come under his portfolio, which is culture, libraries, arts, sports, I will answer them. Okay.
Okay. Barry, and Cabinet colleagues, thank you very much for that introduction. Now, just before we go straight into the Q&A, we do have a short video that just kind of summarises, some of our plan and some of our kind of priorities for the borough. And I'm handing over to my colleague Tristan, who I think is going to show that video. Tristan, over to you.
Sorry, bear with me.
Brilliant schools, buzzing town centres, bright green spaces and big-hearted communities all help to make Barnet a vibrant and fun place to live, work and visit. Our plan for Barnet sets out our commitment to being a caring council, delivering the best possible services for everyone who calls the borough home. To make us engaged and effective, we will collaborate with residents and communities, listen to what they have to say and respond to their views. We will care for our people by making Barnet a truly family-friendly borough, where children and young people are kept safe, and vulnerable children and young people, children in care and care leavers have the best possible start in life. We also want people of all ages to be healthy and to lead an active, good quality, happy life. By working with our partners and local people, we can provide the right support when needed, fighting inequalities and reducing poverty. Every year, we help 1,000 residents to find work. We've invested 1.5 million in business support programs to strengthen and grow nearly 1,000 local employers. And we've set up a £9 million resident support fund for cost of living assistance and over 40 warm spaces. We'll care for our places by championing our neighbourhoods and town centres, creating safe, clean and welcoming places. Our ambition is to be a borough of fun, a destination with a real creative buzz, a place to live and enjoy ourselves, where people connect and feel a sense of belonging. To achieve this, we're providing funding for community groups to hold fun local events. We've started work on 1,000 new council homes at affordable rents. We're investing an extra £2.3 million in CCTV and are putting more money into street cleaning and road and pavement repairs. We've opened community safety hubs to make our streets and neighbourhoods even safer. Our new community skip service now visits all 74 neighbourhoods 4 times a year. And we're protecting and upgrading our parks and open spaces. We'll care for our planet by working together with local people, communities and businesses to become a net zero carbon council by 2030 and borough by 2042. As part of this, we're planting thousands more trees and we're investing in electrical vehicle charge points and energy efficient buildings. Join us on our journey and find out more at www.barnet.gov.uk/our plan.
Thank you very much, Tristan, for that. So we're now going to go into the question and answers session, and I think we've already got a hand up. Is it Li Jun Shang? Do you want to come in and ask a question, please?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Professor Li Jun Shang from London Metropolitan University, and luckily I just moved into our area and lived in the Millbrook Park new development area. It's quite surprising to see the fast growth development in the whole borough. It's very exciting, to be honest, to see that. But also we saw a lot of the difficulties. I just want to flag up the difficulty about the local GP service. There's a very, very low, how to put it right? I don't want to say too bad things. There's the average rate to using the local GP is really, really hard. And the new development in our area, in the borough, you see I wouldn't say million, over 10,000 of new residents moving into the area, but we don't have the local GP service for them to register. When I tried to register to the Longstone GP, I didn't feel welcomed. And also, I moved from Leeds to London. I saw a lot of the services from the local GP was redundant from here compared to those in London. I'm really, really surprised. For example, I need to go to Uganda to go for a conference. I need to have the yellow fever injection. But now the local GP didn't provide this service at all. And they asked me to go to the Royal Free Hospital. I couldn't make the appointment with them, and the Royal Free Hospital said they don't provide this service at all. They asked me to go to the private service, which is nightmare. I don't know how these things is general in the whole borough or in the things. In Leeds, I used to just go to the GP and make the appointment, and they check my requirement for the international travel and let me know what injections I need. But here is nightmare. I'm surprised to find our MP is a medical background. I sent the email to him without getting any reply. So I think I really want to raise this issue. For example, the council can make the mandatory requirement for the new development to provide a space for the GP to be set up in the new development. For example, Millbrook Park. How many buildings here? Over 30. There are no GP, and we'll struggle to try to find the GP to register. Anyway, I cut it short. I'm really happy to put things, to you guys, and I'm really happy to make my contribution to the area as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader, and welcome to Barnet. I'm sorry, and you're not the only one who talks about GP. So if I hand over to Addison, who's our lead on health.
Thank you very much. And yes, I do understand we are a growing borough, and people are seeking to sign up with GPs. I think it's fair to say that we've been working closely with the NHS as we plan those new developments to try to ensure local GPs can provide services. Obviously, GPs are effectively part of the NHS, not part of the council, but we will continue to work to make sure that as particularly the Colindale area develops, we are able to work with them to provide sufficient GP capacity in the area. In terms of your travel health, that is actually separate from the standard NHS service, and it would be paid for privately. Most GPs are not in a position to provide that. Some might and will charge, but it is unusual to have a GP these days.
I don't mind pay. It's just I couldn't get the service. I'm not able to travel with my time limit to get the yellow fever certificate, so I can't apply for visa. So it's not just no service, no information provided at all. When I go to the GP is sending me all over the London to say go to the private service. This is not good at all.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and we'll that is the reality at the moment. But actually, we'll take that back to our NHS contact networks and make that point for you, because you're clearly frustrated about it, and I do understand that. But that is the system as it stands at the moment. And in terms of where in London you could get that provision, if you would like to get in touch, I can certainly put you in touch with the health service people who are responsible for that, and we can certainly lobby around that provision being more user friendly for you.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Yes, that's really helpful for this. And finally, I really want the council, when they prove the new development, thinking about put the space for the GP and for the things. Otherwise, it will bring lot of the hassles, and residents won't be happy at all.
And the council does do that. But it is about working with the NHS as a partner to deliver that.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Legion, for your question.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna move us on. So Hoda Alf, you want to come in? I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Hoda, do you want to come in? Are you with us?
Hello, I'm Gillian
Yeah.
Torpik, actually. I don't know whether she's a friend of mine, Hoda. I don't know whether we've got our names mixed up.
No problem. We'll do come in and ask a question anyway. We can hear you.
Yes, I'm the resident. I live in Mill Hill. I put down several questions, but the one I'm going to ask about is actually police or lack of. My family and my own experience with getting any particular cover from the police has been very bad. Burglaries, no, I was told basically go to the pawn shop and find your own jewellery. If there's any car theft or catalytic converters taken or anything like that, just given us a crime reference number and said that's it, we can't do any more. There's no, for small crimes, burglary, well, I don't class it as small, But for crimes, including burglary, there is no police cover whatsoever. Unless you're a celebrity and you get a £70,000 ring stolen, then it's in the news. But for normal people, just forget it. It's commonplace. I'm not saying it's anecdotal, but it's also commonplace. I don't know what everybody has to say about that, but it's certainly my experience and experience of a lot of other people I know.
Thank you very much.
Gillian,
Sorry, do you want to come in?
Oh, yes, sorry, thank you. And Gillian, I'm sorry for your experience and what you've been through. You're welcome to email me, actually, and I can refer you to our Victim Support Hub, which is something that the council runs and has got a really good service.
Listen, it happened many years ago. I don't expect any support now. I didn't really get any then.
So what I need to say then, and my next question was going to be, actually, when did it happen? Because since last year, the police have changed what they're doing, and they've gone back to visiting after burglaries.
No. My sons had their catalytic converter taken. Two of them, both of them had their catalytic converter stolen. And all the response is, sorry, crime reference number, that's it. Can't do anything about it.
I was going to come to that one in a minute. So on burglaries, I was going to say a resident actually called me the other day as the police were there, saying that she was really pleased from the ward I represent from Barnet and talking me through what was happening as well. So I'm very aware that since last year, our police partners are trying to get out to every burglary. That's something they have changed. In terms of catalytic converters, I'll take that back. There have been a few events around marking the converters that have been done at Brent Cross and other places, and we've done something here actually on bicycles to try and make it easier to trace things. But I will take that back. I mean, the truth is we need more police, and that's something that is recognised by everybody, but we are working in a partnership here, and I will take this back, and I'm sure we can get your email and follow up.
We only see police in police cars. They're racing around in police cars, never see them on the ground. I think I've seen 2 police maybe in the last 2 years.
So what we're trying to do actually as a council, because it's a partnership and we cover some crime, they obviously cover a lot of crime, is that we're doing walks twice a year. We're doing walks twice a year in every ward, and actually in Mill Hill, when we came to Mill Hill, the police were with us, and we walked around 2 hours for 2 hours with your local councillors as well, and a whole range of council partners, looking at the different issues of safety that residents in Mill Hill were concerned about. We'll be doing that again in the autumn. We've got 2 more wards to do, and then we've done the whole borough since last autumn. So if you want to email saferstreets@barnet.gov.uk, that's one of the ways in which the data for those walks is being informed, and we're also using police data too. So we're at the start of a process here, and we are trying to address with our partners the things that are being raised. Thank you.
Can I ask another question? It's not related to police, or do I'd only have one question?
Yeah, if you could answer another one quickly, and then I do want to bring other people in, but one more question, yeah.
Yeah, the difference between North Finchley and Finchley Central. Finchley Central has a tube, and they have parking that you can use without paying for certain times of the day. North Finchley has no tube, yet you cannot park. It's 9 to 5, no people can park. You have to pay all the time. Why is that? Just would like to know. Can anybody answer that?
Yeah. Hi, Gillian.
Hi.
Yeah, I mean, all areas are treated differently, so it depends on. It does vary from area to area. I mean, in general, and it's the same in Finchley Central, a lot of the places nearest to the tube station do have parking controls, because otherwise we get a lot of commuters parking there, and that's what residents have asked for. But the exact zones do vary from area to area. It depends on where commuters are trying to park, if it's near a tube station or where town centre users are, about trying to enabling people to park to use local businesses, but
it's not logical. Sorry to interrupt, but it's not logical. I can understand why there's that you can actually park free Finchley Central, so for quite most of the day, but North Finchley you can't, and there's no tube near it. You can't. You have to pay everywhere to park in North Finchley. There's no tube. Why? Why is that? It doesn't make sense. Your logic doesn't make sense.
No, I mean, happy if you want to email in to look at if you've got a concern about a particular area. North Finchley is the busier town centre, which is why most of it is restricted 9 to 5. Finchley Central, the issue is more commuter parking, so there's more areas that just have a 1 hour zone. But happy to look if you think there's any anomalies. But that's a general principle we're working to.
I thought, yeah.
Be quiet about the free parking though.
Thanks very much, Gillian. Thank you. I'm gonna move us on. Thank you very much for your questions. Jill, did you want to come in and ask a question?
Yeah, my question I think would be for Pauline Coakley-Webb. I'm a family support coordinator and I work in the early help sector. I work across 5 different schools in Barnet. 3 of them are primary and 2 of them are special needs schools. And I'm really concerned about the number of children who are currently in mainstream education when they should be in a special school. And we talk about early intervention, and these children are not having an early intervention. They're just being put in schools that are totally inappropriate for them because they're meeting the legal requirements of being in school. But to be honest with you, it's probably doing them more harm than good. And I know that you're going to tell me that things are are planning to be put in place, but I'm really concerned how long things are taking. And there's children who are, some I work with, are 2-3 years been waiting for a place and still haven't got one.
Thanks, Jill. Well, sorry, maybe also to give me an email and give me some. Obviously, we can't talk about specific cases here. I know that there's certainly a drive to try and make more schools inclusive so that children don't have to go out of borough for a start. And there's also a drive to try and get an implementation as early as possible in the nursery and the early years sector to make sure needs are identified as early as possible, so that if an EHCP is needed, that process should be started as early as possible. And we have got a really good time frame on having statements and having assessments done within that time frame. But if you've got particular concerns, then please, obviously we can't talk about individual cases here, but it'd be probably good if we had a conversation so I can get a more rounded picture as to what you think you're picking up in terms of problems, and if it's specific areas or specific age groups or specific types of educational need that you think is not being met properly. I know that obviously, and you will know, there's a parent carers forum where they have a really good input to make sure they liaise with the council and tell us where they think needs improving. But yeah, please feel free to get in touch with me and let's have a longer conversation about it.
Okay, brilliant. It is the thing that concerns me most is that those who shout loudest are getting the places. It's the more vulnerable families that are hard to reach that are really suffering, and it does need to be dealt with. So yes, thank you for the offer. I will take you up on that. And Barry, it's nice to see you, by the way.
Thanks. Long time.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks very much.
Jill, thank you very, very much for your question. I'm going to keep moving down the list. Christina, you have your hand up. Christina, welcome, and do you want to ask your question?
Hi, good to see all of you here. I live and work in the community, as you know. There is a growing concern I have with working people who are not in work in benefits, and they're seriously struggling. And I know there is an emergency fund for household and stuff like that, but because they are not qualified for the benefits, they are not qualified to apply for those funds. Is the council planning any form of support for this group of people? Because right now I'm seeing so many people coming to me for help, and I'm being quite helpless at this present moment.
Right, just to get it clear, these are people in need, but you're saying they're not eligible for any benefits.
Yeah, it's not because they got no recourse for. It's not because they got no.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not because they got no recourse for benefits. It's just that they don't qualify either because they're working and all sorts of reasons. But they do. Yeah. So these are the group of people that's really coming to see me right now, and I'm increasingly getting very worried. Yeah.
Yes. There is a lot of in-work poverty at the moment, and it is getting worse. So now, obviously, these rules are often national rules, so we can't alter them. But we have set aside, or we put in this year, an extra 2 million into household support, which is people can apply for that. They're not is it? That's down to what the suffering is, what the difficulty is. It's not based on whether they're in work or not in work. So that's one possibility. The best thing, and you probably know it yourself, is to try and recommend people to go to Boost, which is a council run or jointly with the Barnet Group run provision, which is about helping people to get work. It's got a full work, if they're in work, it's got the full welfare benefit advice and so on. You've got my email, but certainly if there's specific people, I would recommend they go to somewhere like Boost to get advice. But we have set aside a fund that is different from the benefits cap and is available to apply for. If they've applied and the answer is no, I don't know, but we can't go into individual details.
Yeah.
But there is that possibility. But if you've got anything specific, Christina, feel free to get in touch with me anytime.
So they have gone to Boost and they have gone to
They've gone to Boost, yeah.
Everything is 5%. They are working, but because the cost of living has significantly increased. So, for example, their electricity is increased from £230 to £470. So that gap of the increase, they can't get any help at all, and they can't cut any further. So I am their last resort. They thought that I can do some magic, but I can't do any magic at all. So that is what I'm very concerned about, because they have gone one round. Yeah.
I'm not sure there's a definite an easy answer. I don't want to lie to you and let you down. Well, there is a cost of living crisis. It affects us as a council as well as those people. We got a bill for an extra £500,000 just to keep the street lights on when the electricity went up. You know, it's affecting schools. It's affecting a lot of institutions. But I said, do email. If there's specific people who there seem to be have trouble getting hold of something, I may not have the answer, but I am prepared to go somewhere with them. If you think that'll help, Christina.
Brilliant, thank you. Because because I've tried everything, benefits calculator, everything just doesn't work.
All right.
Thanks very much, Christina and Barry. Thank you for the response. I'm going to keep moving along. So, Alessio D'Angelo. Alessio, do you want to come in and ask a question?
Yes, thank you very much. I am a resident of Edgware, and I wanted to hear something about the plans for the future of Edgware Council. Since the area, as you will know, has become increasingly run down over the past few years, and I know there is now a consultation plan for a redevelopment taken forward by Ballymore and Transport for London. I'm sure you'll be aware there are some concerns about the residents about whether that is the right way forward for the area. There are concerns about too high density buildings being built and that not being matched by an increase in infrastructure and public services. People are worried to be living in a building site for a very long period of time, and this is all based on similar experiences we've seen in other areas of London and beyond. So I'd like to hear again the council vision about that, some reassurances, I suppose, and also to hear what is it that residents can do to kind of have an input into this process. I mean, I know that Ballymore is going to run kind of drop-in sessions that many of us will be attending, but beyond that, what is the role of the council, and how can people liaise also with the council with regard to the future of Edgware?
Thank you. Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, I thank you for the question. It's a good one. Edgware Town Centre has been highlighted as an area for growth for some time now. I mean, it's a growth area in the London plan and the local plan. There is an Edgware growth area planning framework which was put in place by the previous administration in 2021, and it does allow for high density, and it does allow for, well, there are no height restrictions in it. So we've inherited that. The site has been bought by Ballymore, so they will be taking forward proposals. It's they own the shopping centre. I think everyone acknowledges that Edgware does need regeneration, and that's now part of London planning policy that Edgware is a growth area. So plans will go forward, and if we get it right, it will be a great improvement in terms of the mix of a retail, a leisure, a amenity space, those sort of things. I think, and also making the town centre, rejuvenating the town centre, making it vibrant in a way that I think everyone agrees would be the way forward. I think I would encourage you to respond to Ballymore and put forward your issues to them. They will be putting formal plans to the council at some stage, maybe later this year. And at that stage, there's a formal planning process. And obviously, the planning committee will have to look at it, and they can't prejudge an issue like this, but they have to take into context the existing planning framework, and that is the area growth, the growth area planning framework, as well as the London-wide and Barnet-wide planning policies. So I'm a great believer that the earlier people have their input into the regeneration and development, the more chance that we get it right. It's just people who live in an area know the area best, and we should definitely listen to the concerned people. There is a need for residential. We do have a need to deliver housing, and that the volume of housing was set out in the current draft local plan. And that those figures are put in. Several years ago, actually, I think those figures have been in public knowledge. So it is a big concern for us to get it right. We want to work with local businesses. There's now a business improvement area that's been agreed, and we want to work with local residents and people like yourself to get it right. I think there are definitely opportunities for the enhanced green space, public realm. There are definitely opportunities to make the town centre a lot smarter. But there will, and we are, and we have been meeting with Ballymore regularly and saying, these are the concerns we're picking up. There will be, it will be a site where there will be a lot of residential, and there will be a degree of height, because it is one of the growth areas identified for that in the borough. So working with them is a matter of trying to make the plans the best that they can be. What won't happen is that the regeneration won't go forward. It will go forward, but getting it right, and it's right that it goes forward. It's right that it goes forward because there's a lot of wasted, space in Edgware in terms of the land that isn't used to its full, value that it could be used in terms of getting residential, the right retail mix. The shopping centre itself isn't, it is not a. It's tough. Well, in my view, it's a personal view, but it is quite tired, and actually revitalising the town centre, particularly actually the high street frontage as well, and the area around the tube station, I think would be really good. If we can get some, amenity space, which is one of the proposals, to increase green space there, and provide affordable housing. If we're going to have residential on a site, we need to make sure we get residential that people can afford to rent or buy. So I think, please do let Ballymore know what you think of the plans, and look out for the planning application when it comes forward, and by all means, make comments, because we need to listen to what people say and take on board their concerns. So.
Thank you very much for the question. Thank you, Ross, for the response. I'm going to move on to Giovanni. I think, Giovanni, you want to come in? Giovanni, are you with us?
You're on mute.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, it's always like that. Thank you for this opportunity. Good evening, everyone. I watched the kind of the video you offered us at the beginning of this conference, and I've seen that you are planning, among the other things, cleaner streets, increasing the number of CCTVs, and other points. Now, I would like to move back to something. I'm referring to Grant Park. I know Barnet is a big territory, but Grant Park is something that is assisting to a regeneration plan, which is a bit concerning. I tell you why. In my 10 years at Grant Park, I want to say I'm one of the lucky guys that could afford to pay a mortgage to buy a house. So I'm owning a property, but over the years we had a plan. So we see that there was a plan to redevelop the whole area, and originally there was an idea to buy all the houses as well. So there was an offer made to many of us to buy the properties for the development. Then that idea was abandoned because the mayor of London decided that there was not enough social housing available in that proposal from Genesis. So we saw the new faces, which is the current one. I remember from my attendance to some of the meetings that the 3 blocks that have been taken down recently, I mean over a year ago, were to be replaced by I think it was 5-story buildings. Now we are assisting the building of 3 kind of skyscrapers because they are like probably 15, 20 stories. They are massive, overlooking properties and whatever. Among them, my concern is that there will be an increased number of residents, so much more than they used to be. And from the first intervention this evening about GPs is just one of the concerns. The other concern is antisocial behavior. Among many things you have said in the movie, in the video, I would like to highlight that there is I know that you all know that there is a consistent antisocial behavior in the area. There is less presence of police. Despite we say that there is police, we know that they've been cut to budgets and whatever, but I remember the first few years I lived in Grant Park. There was a lot of police just patrolling the area, walking around. Now you rarely see police around there unless they come for specific reasons, but you don't see them walking around anymore. And there is a lot of persistent fly tipping. I've reported that personally many times. And apart from meetings with some of your some people at the Barnet office and whatever, but the problem is still there, and it's also getting worse and worse. So when we talk about regeneration, what's exactly the plan? So do you have a specific plan to really improve quality of life around there and try to make it more enjoyable? I mean, paying a mortgage and leaving among rubbish and among people getting crazy overnight and many different problems that I'm sure many of you know already. So is there an action plan to make that regeneration plan work effectively and giving us a little bit of better life around that area, please?
Thanks, Giovanni.
I think more than one person may answer. Sarah can talk a bit about the plans in Grant Park and the policing. And I don't know if Alan, you want to put something on fly tip and
Yeah. Good evening, Giovanni. Graham Park is literally outside our window. That's where we're based. My nana lived there, so I went there a lot as a child. So it's somewhere that I've spent a lot of time and know very well, and matters a lot to all of us. And as a Barnet councillor, I'm there quite a lot as well because there's a lot of crossover. So I wanted to talk first of all that we're bringing in something called a neighbourhood model, which I think one of my colleagues will probably talk more in detail about. But it's very much to bring together everything that is going on there. There's actually a lot of good stuff, and you'll know a lot of the great organisations on the ground there as well. And I think what we're trying to do is to sort of group everything together and to have a proper conversation and dialogue and working with residents and all the communities there. So that work is underway, and there will be more of that coming. On police specifically, I'm aware that, going back 10, 12, 15 years, Barnet had 6 police and a car on the ground. There's now 3. So we have worked very, very closely with the police. Since last summer, we set up, because we were so aware of the issues on Graham Park, Colindale, Burnt, and these are the communities we've represented for years. We've set up a multi-agency task group, problem solving group that includes public health, children's and family services, Barnet Homes, Notting Hill Genesis, the police, ourselves, etc. And that's something that we meet monthly. There's a lot of information sharing going on, a lot of joint problem solving. There is a lot of police work going on, actually, and I think sometimes You don't see the police work that's going on. But I want to assure you that this is an ongoing dialogue and ongoing work. We're all working together and we're working with communities and our police partners very, very closely. Thank you.
Am I allowed to say something
Yeah.
else? Sorry. So when I talk about police, overnight, quite frequently, who knows the area now is a reality. Drug dealers are around the area, as everywhere in the world. But I mean, there are issues like overnight. If you may assist a situation out in the public street, of course you can't intervene. Having a police response sometimes can take ages. You're right. There are political reasons, so we don't stop in there. But I'm just concerned that the regeneration is not happening at the speed that should happen, and increasing the number of residents is just making it worse, and is making people like me, because when you say about CCTV, a few years ago there was a CCTV camera installed just to prevent this, just to fight this fly tipping. It was a persistent problem. The night after the installation, it was taken down by people, probably, was destroyed. The answer I would have expected would have been having a new camera. I know it costs money, but it was giving a signal to those that didn't like the idea of having a CCTV camera for other reasons. Well, that would have been a strong message. Unfortunately, since then, the CCTV was never reinstated, and the fly tipping is just making the main protagonist of the story.
Giovanni, can I ask Alan to come in just to respond quickly on fly tipping? And I think we completely recognise your points, but I do also want to bring Anna in as well before we wrap up. So, Alan, can I go to you, and then I'll come to Anna.
Yeah,
thank you, Giovanni.
Hi, Giovanni. Just on fly tipping. I mean, tackling fly tipping is one of the council's priorities. I think we have made progress, but we do recognise that there are still several hotspots across the borough. But we are doing various things. I mean, you mentioned CCTV is one of them. We've rolled out a programme of community skips across the borough so that residents can. We're encouraging residents to dispose of their bulky items in those skips near to where they live, to reduce the likelihood of them fly tipping. We are looking at doing more on enforcement, and we've also doubled the amount of resourcing that we put into cleaning residential streets. So we do recognise it is still a problem in areas, but we are making progress. But if there are particular areas, do send us an email, and we go along and get those areas cleaned.
John, might I just add very briefly, just to reassure Giovanni? Obviously, there's a crime aspect to the drugs, but we are aware of the drugs and substance misuse problems on the estate, and there is an outreach team working directly on Graham Park to make sure that we start to tackle that problem from both the crime and the prevention end of things.
I'd briefly let you know that Councillor Amarnaki has arrived and joined the meeting, so you've got the force who's made sterling efforts to get back to England and do this. So you have got a full set of cabinet members.
Okay, thanks, Barry. Welcome, Emma. Can I move on?
Add something there?
Sure.
I think you're very right to highlight the fact that the Graham Park regeneration has taken a long time. I've been a councillor, for almost 20 years, and it's throughout that time. One of the reasons, the council do recognise that. It's one of the reasons why we're going ahead with the Graham Park North East proposals, because it's a very big regeneration project, and Notting Hill Genesis, we're working with them, and we're going to take that forward, and that will happen sooner. We've also put a lot of investment recently into upgrading the existing housing, which is going to take some time to be part of the regeneration, and particularly around the concourse. So there's a lot of, it's 30 million, I think, that's gone into that. I know that Barnet Homes have been working, as Sarah says, with the local police. I know there was very recently a meeting with the Borough Commander, and they're talking about putting in specific additional CCTV in areas across Graham Park. And also Barnet Homes are working with the police to put additional resource to help the police in a way, actually to help, work together in partnership with the police. Because you rightly identify an area which I know Sarah's been working very hard on. But it is, the regeneration, as far as I'm concerned, we need, the sooner that we can get the Graham Park regeneration finished, the better. But it has taken a long time. But we are trying to put in remedial measures to make life better for those people who haven't been part of the regeneration so far.
We have run out of time, so it is 7 o'clock. There are a few questions that are in the chat that we haven't had a chance to get to, which I'm sure we will come back to and make sure we respond to separately. There's questions, I think, in terms of sort of Barnet being a borough of fun. What does that mean? What's our commitment around arts and culture and such like? And I think I'm sure we can answer that and perhaps come back to that in future discussions. There's questions in the chat also around climate emergency and some of the things that we're doing around tackling climate change and sustainability. So I'm sure, and there are also some messages really helpful, I think, in the chat in terms of what we might do in the future. So I just want to say thank you. Barry, maybe just to hand to you to close. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this meeting up, or any cabinet colleagues? But thank you.
Not particularly. This was an experiment, a trial from our side. I think it went very well. I hope people got something. We will never be able to get through every question and answer every question in a meeting, a 1 hour meeting, but we will make sure that questions are answered. I think we all agree that worked well. Yeah. And we hope people got something out of it, and hope this is the start of a continuous resident engagement, a way of engaging residents. All right. Yeah. So thank you for all your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for taking the time.
All right.
Good night.